But next up will be Helaman chapter 9.
Behold, now it came to pass that when Nephi had spoken these words, certain men who were among them ran to the judgment seat. Yea, even there were 5 who went. And they said among themselves as they went, Behold, now we will know of a surety whether this man be a prophet, and God hath commanded him to prophesy such marvelous things unto us. Behold, we do not believe that he hath, yea, we do not believe that he is a prophet. Nevertheless, if this thing which he has said concerning the chief judge be true, that he be dead, then will we believe that the other words which he has spoken are true.
Right, so this chapter picks up now from the previous chapter, where at the end of chapter 8, Nephi had put out kind of this bold prediction or proclamation that the chief judge has been killed right today while we're standing here. And so now, as we said, that this is something that could be proven or disproven. So it says, as soon as he said that, it's okay, now we got him, right? So it says 5 of them took off, and it says they went, it says they ran, right? They ran to the judgment seat, because now we can prove that this guy's full of baloney, basically, right? And then he's, whatever he's saying, we don't have to believe it, because when we find the chief judge happy and alive and well, then we can go back and say, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? So in verse 2, that's what they're saying. It's like, okay, now we'll know for sure whether he's a prophet, right? If he's dead, well then, that's a little scary, because now if he's right about that, then we have to believe everything else he said, right? Because if he was able to predict this, then he probably is a prophet. Then we have to list the other things that he said, which was exactly what the point was. That's why Nephi put that out there, so to prove that he's a valid prophet, that we should listen to what he's saying.
And it came to pass that they ran in their might, and came in unto the judgment seat. And behold, the chief judge had fallen to the earth, and did lie in his blood. And now behold, when they saw this, they were astonished exceedingly, insomuch that they fell to the earth, for they had not believed the words which Nephi had spoken concerning the chief judge. But now when they saw, they believed, and fear came upon them, lest all the judgments which Nephi had spoken should come upon the people. Therefore they did quake, and had fallen to the earth.
They got there, and they went to check it out, and sure enough, they found exactly what they were afraid they were going to find, that the chief judge was killed. It says he was lying in his blood, just as Nephi said he would be. They were astonished exceedingly, right, insomuch that they fell to the earth. Because, I mean, first of all, they really didn't believe anything that Nephi was saying, and now they're realizing, right, everything he said was true, which included the coming of Christ, and all the other things he said about, if you don't believe, this is all the things that's going to happen to you. So now it all has to be true. So it's like, we're in trouble, all right? Because remember, he called them all out as sinful people and trespassing the ways of God, and basically they were in danger of eternal punishment. So the only defense against that is to try to discredit the person saying it, right? And that's what a lot of people do. Even today, people try to do that, right? If people hear you say something that that would seem almost condemning or judgmental, and the people get up in arms about that, and they try to turn it back on you, and how dare you judge me, and who are you, and you probably do things wrong too, and so on and so forth, right? Well, this was the only way to defend themselves against that, was to discredit Nephi, who was the deliverer of the message. And now if he's able to do this, like, this is a real message, and that means now we have to do something about that. We have to pay attention to that, right? So that's why for all that together, it says now they fell to the earth, right? It says in 5, it says they believed, and fear came upon them, lest all the judgments with Nephi had spoken should come upon the people. So therefore they did quake and fall to the earth, all right? Because they said, everything he said is going to happen is going to happen now, because if he's able to predict this, then we have to believe all the predictions that he put out there.
Now immediately when the judge had been murdered, he being stabbed by his brother by a garb of secrecy, and he fled, and the servants ran and told the people, raising the cry of murder among them. And behold, the people did gather themselves together unto the place of the judgment seat. And behold, to their astonishment, they saw those 5 men who had fallen to the earth. And now behold, the people knew nothing concerning the multitude who had gathered together at the garden of Nephi. Therefore they said among themselves, These men are they who have murdered the judge, and God has smitten them, that they could not flee from us. And it came to pass that they laid hold on them, and bound them, and cast them into prison. And there was a proclamation sent abroad that the judge was slain, that the murderers had been taken, and were cast into prison.
See, as I read this part, you've probably seen either movies or TV shows where this kind of thing happens, right? Because they were unlucky enough to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, And so somebody comes and discovers the body and thinks that that person is the killer. All right, well, that's exactly what happened here, right? Because I guess, they must have, somebody must have seen that the chief judge was killed, so they went running for help, basically running with the police. So they call the police, and they come and they find these poor 5 guys who were there, and they're coming because Nephi directed them there, and they passed out from, because they were so astonished that they fell to the earth. So now they're laying there unconscious, and they said, look, they killed him, and God smote them and made them stay here until we could come and catch them. Right? Basically, it was what they were interpreting this as, that somehow that God was holding them here, for them to come and be arrested, which is what they did, right? Because the ones who were finding them, they didn't know about this conversation happening in Nephi's garden, that Nephi had sent them here. They just figured they're here because they just killed the chief judge. So arrest them, put them in prison, and now we're all set. It says in 9, it says, proclamation was sent abroad, the judge was slain, and the murderers were taken and cast into prison. The case is solved, right? So that they figured out that these were the murderers because they're here with the dead body, and so they must be the ones who were guilty. And so circumstances led to these 5 men being arrested, but they were only there because Nephi had sent them.
And it came to pass that on the morrow the people did assemble themselves together to mourn and to fast at the burial of the great chief judge who had been slain. And thus also those judges who were at the garden of Nephi and heard his words were also gathered together at the burial. And it came to pass that they inquired among the people, saying, Where are the 5 who were sent to inquire concerning the chief judge whether he was dead? And they answered and said, Concerning the 5 whom ye say ye have sent, we know not. But there are 5 who are the murderers, whom we have cast into prison.
First of all, I'm impressed that they pulled off this funeral by the next day, especially for an official like this, all right? So it says, on the morrow the people assembled themselves to mourn and to fast at the burial of the great chief judge who was slain, okay? So they went to the funeral, and it says now among those who were at the funeral were the judges who were some of the ones who were listening to Nephi on the tower, okay? If you remember when Nephi was talking and calling them all sinful people, that they were all part of Gadi Anson's band. It included people who were in these judge positions, and that's why they got so mad at him. So it says these were attending the funeral, and so as they're seeing the chief judge is dead, so obviously they know that Nephi just said yesterday the chief judge was dead. So they're saying, well, what happened to those 5 guys who went running off, to verify what Nephi said? And whoever they asked it to said, well, we don't know who you're talking about, but we do have 5 guys. They're the murderers, okay? We put them in jail.
And it came to pass that the judges desired that they should be brought, and they were brought. And behold, they were the 5 who were sent. And behold, the judges inquired of them to know concerning the matter, and they told them all that they had done, saying, We ran and came to the place of the judgment, and when we saw all things, even as Nephi had testified, we were astonished, insomuch that we fell to the earth. And when we were recovered from our astonishment, behold, they cast us into prison. Now as for the murder of this man, we know not who has done it, and only this much we know. We ran and came according as he desired, and behold, he was dead, according to the words of Nephi.
I guess fortunately it was judges who were involved here. I guess they had some authority over this, and so they're hearing this story. I said, wait a minute, we sent 5 guys out and they never came back, and you said you got 5 guys in jail. Bring those 5 guys here and let's see who they are. All right, and so when they came, all right, so lo and behold, it was the same 5. What a coincidence, all right? The same 5 that we set off are the ones you have in jail. All right, so they said, well, what happened? What happened yesterday? How did this all come about? And so I guess no one had questioned them yet, or maybe they didn't believe them if they were saying this prophet just told us to go find the chief judge dead. So now they're saying is, listen, when we came, it was exactly as Nephi had said, right? We found it exactly as he said. Since we were so overcome, so astonished that we fell to the earth, and that's how they found us laying there, right? We don't know who the killer is, but we didn't do it, right? And we were just sent there by Nephi. So it says we ran according as he desired, and he was dead according to the words of Nephi. And so it worked out just as he said. So we can testify that what he said was true, but we got arrested for killing him, and we didn't kill him. We just came there and found him. He was already dead.
And now it came to pass that the judges did expound the matter unto the people, and did cry out against Nephi, saying, Behold, we know that this Nephi must have agreed with someone to slay the judge, and then he might declare it unto us, that he might convert us unto his faith, that he might raise himself to be a great man, chosen of God, and a prophet. And now behold, we will detect this man, and he shall confess his fault, and make known unto us the true murderer of this judge. And it came to pass that the 5 were liberated on the day of the burial. Nevertheless, they did rebuke the judges in the words which they had spoken against Nephi, and did contend with them one by one, insomuch that they did confound them.
See, now, I'm not surprised that this wasn't the original theory put out. Right? Nephi must have been the mastermind behind this. Now, of course, he has a great alibi because he was standing on the tower in full view of all these people at the time the chief judge was slain, so he must have hired somebody to do it. He hired somebody to go kill the chief judge while he's standing there predicting a murder, and then lo and behold, we go and find it exactly as he described, because he hired somebody to do the murder. All right, so that's the new theory of the crime now, and to me that would be the risk of being too descriptive about something like that and describing the scene exactly. So, well, you must have been there, or you must have been involved for you to know exactly what happened. All right, so that's their next theory. It's he did all this just to prove to us he's a prophet, right? That he had no other motive to kill the chief judge. He just wanted to prove he was a prophet, and so that's why he set all this up. And what a bad guy he is, right? And so it says now we're going to question him, and we'll get him to confess, right? We have to tell us how this was done and who he hired to kill the judge. So this was the new theory. So as a result, in verse 18, it says now the other 5 were released, all right? So they were cleared of the murder. Right, and so, but as they were going, they had something to say to the judges. And they said, "But by the way, right, you guys didn't believe Nephi yesterday, right? You said he wasn't a prophet. Well, you were wrong, right? You were wrong. That we went and it was exactly as he described. So we believe what he said now, and really, you should believe it also."
Nevertheless, they caused that Nephi should be taken and bound and brought before the multitude, and they began to question him in diverse ways, that they might cross him, that they might accuse him to death, saying unto him, "Thou art confederate. Who is this man that hath done this murder? Now tell us, and acknowledge thy fault, saying, Behold, here is money, and also we will grant unto thee thy life, if thou wilt tell us, and acknowledge the agreement which thou hast made with him." But Nephi said unto them, O ye fools, ye uncircumcised of heart, ye blind and ye stiff-necked people, do ye know how long the Lord your God will suffer you, that ye shall go on in this your way of sin? O ye ought to begin to howl and mourn because of the great destruction which at this time doth await you, except ye shall repent.
In spite of the testimony of the 5 men, it says, nevertheless they caused Nephi to be taken and bound and brought before the multitude and questioned, right? So they were still going to go forward with this particular theory of the crime, right? That they basically took him in for questioning, and they said, hey, tell us how you did it. Tell us who you paid off. You must have paid somebody. So tell us that go ahead and confess what you did, and if you do, we'll let you have a plea agreement. All right, we'll go ahead and let you off with a lighter sentence if you tell us who the actual killer was. That's basically what they were saying there. Behold, here is money. We will grant thee thy life if thou wilt tell us. Right, we won't put you to death. So just tell us what the agreement was, and then we'll let you off with a lighter sentence, all right? But now Nephi's response was, you guys just aren't getting this at all, are you, all right? I mean, here I prophesied to you yesterday of the coming of Christ and what was going to happen, and use this as an example as to that God was going to speak through me, and now instead you're trying to twist it around that somehow I was the killer, and this was really just a whole setup, all right? You're really not getting it at all. So that's why he says, how long is God going to suffer? You shall go on in this your way of sin, and you may as well get ready for the great destruction that's going to come unto you, because you're really not getting it at all. I mean, if this is enough to convince you, then really nothing is going to convince you.
Behold, ye say that I have agreed with a man that he should murder Caesarum, our chief judge. But behold, I say unto you that this is because I have testified unto you, that ye might know concerning this thing, yea, even for a witness unto you, that I did know of the wickedness and abominations which were among you. And because I have done this, ye say that I have agreed with a man that he should do this thing. Yea, because I showed unto you this sign, ye are angry with me, and seek to destroy my life.
This is more of what I was just saying after he kind of balls them out from a perspective of God's not going to put up with this much longer. He's saying, I don't understand. I predicted to you exactly what's going to happen, all right? And so you see the name of the chief judge here, Caesarum, all right? So because I predicted it, and because I was so exact in my predictions, so now you're going to say that I'm the guilty one, that I hired somebody, all right? And that says that I did know the wickedness and abomination which are among you, because I've done this. You think that I made a deal with a man to do this, and because I showed you this sign, so you're angry, because I was right. See, if he made the prediction and he was wrong, they just would have come back and laughed at him. They still would have been angry at what he was saying, but they would have been angry because he was like lying to them. So instead because I was right, you're also angry with me, right? And you want to arrest me and put me to death and so forth because I predicted the death of the chief judge. It really doesn't make any sense. You're not allowing for the possibility that God was really in the matter here. And you think about, that's not that unusual that people, that's like the one thing that people don't want to consider, that God was in the matter. They have to figure there was some other way that this was done, this was some trick, or some arrangement you made to be right. That God couldn't have inspired you to say this, because we don't want to accept that conclusion.
And now behold, I will show unto you another sign, and see if ye will in this thing seek to destroy me. Behold, I say unto you, go to the house of Seantum, who is the brother of Caesorum, and say unto him, has Nephi the pretended prophet, who doth prophesy so much evil concerning this people, agreed with thee, in the which he had murdered Caesorum, who is your brother? And behold, he shall say unto you, nay.
Okay, so in order to prove, I'll say, his innocence in this, he says, okay, let's try again, all right? I'm going to give you another sign. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do and what's going to happen. And I like how he says, and see if you will in this thing seek to destroy me. In other words, let's see if you're going to put this back on me too. Right? So he says, here's what I want you to do. Go to the house of Seantum, who's the brother. He's the killer, obviously, all right? So go to the house of Seantum, who's the brother of the chief judge, and ask him this question, as you see it there in 27. Has Nephi, the pretended prophet, made a deal with you to murder your brother? All right? So just ask it straight out, all right? If that's what you think was what happened, then ask if the Nephi, the pretended prophet, made this deal with you. And of course he's going to say, no way did I do that. He's going to deny it.
And ye shall say unto him, have ye murdered your brother? And he shall stand with fear, and wist not what to say. And behold, he shall deny unto you, and he shall make as if he were astonished. Nevertheless, he shall declare unto you that he is innocent. But behold, ye shall examine him, and ye shall find blood upon the skirts of his cloak. And when ye have seen this, ye shall say, from whence cometh this blood? Do we not know that it is the blood of your brother? And then shall he tremble, and shall look pale, even as if death had come upon him.
Like the first question they were going to ask first was, did you make a deal with Nephi, the pretend prophet? And he's going to say, no, of course not. He'll probably say, I don't even know him, all right? Well, all right, well then, did you kill your brother then? Let's get right to the point. Or, your brother's dead, or you're the killer. So it says, now as you can see in 30, it says, when you ask that, it says he's going to all of a sudden get very nervous and be astonished and so forth. No, I didn't do that. I'm innocent. All right, but he says, but now look at the, it says the bottom of his cloak, and you're going to find blood on there. All right, and then say, hey, where does blood come from then? All right, if you didn't do any murder, how come there's blood on your clothes? And this is your brother's blood on here, isn't it? He says, so upon saying that, of course, he says, then he'll start to tremble and look pale. I'm like, all right, I'm found out here. When I first read the story years ago, one thing that I thought of, why didn't he change his clothes? Right? I mean, this is the next day, all right? So why was he still wearing the same clothes with the blood on the bottom, right? I mean, maybe he didn't see that there was some patches of blood there, but why didn't he change his clothes, right? So he's wearing the same clothes, it still has the blood at the bottom, right, which was the blood of his brother. And so upon pointing that out, he said, now when you do that, he's going to get all nervous and realize he's been caught, because you're already suspicious, and now you're finding the brother's blood on his clothes. Well, obviously he must be guilty then, so his guilty conscience will make him confess. Right? So this is all Nephi telling him what to do, right? They haven't done anything yet. And Nephi is telling them, go there, say this, he'll do this. You say this, he'll do this, all right? And so he's making a whole detailed prediction of what's going to happen.
And then shall ye say, because of this fear and this paleness which has come upon your face, behold, we know that thou art guilty. And then shall greater fear come upon him, and then shall he confess unto you, and deny no more that he has done this murder. And then shall he say unto you, that I, Nephi, know nothing concerning the matter, save it were given unto me by the power of God. And then shall ye know that I am an honest man, and that I am sent unto you from God.
He's still telling them what's going to happen, all right? He says, once you see this, right, and you'll be able to tell by his face is going to get real pale and so forth, that so then you can just tell him, okay, based on your reaction, we know that you're guilty, right? And then it says he'll finally confess to the murder. And then once he does, now this is Nephi wants a hand in this, all right? He says, then make sure that he tells you that I had nothing to do with it, all right? That he did it on his own. That's why he says, then he'll say that I, Nephi, knew nothing concerning the matter, all right? So then you'll know that the only way I could have known what was going to happen was it was given to me by God. That God inspired me to know exactly what was going to happen, all right? So he's doing this to clear his own name as well as for them to be able to catch the killer. So again, this is all stuff he's telling them before they ever even go. He's giving them a detailed blow by blow of what to say and what's going to happen.
And it came to pass that they went and did, even according as Nephi had said unto them. And behold, the words which he said were true, for according to the words he did deny, and also according to the words he did confess. And he was brought to prove that he himself was the very murderer, insomuch that the 5 were set at liberty, and also was Nephi.
So we just read the things that Nephi said to say what was going to happen, and now in 37 and 38, it happened just as he said. So they went to the house, they did what Nephi said, they asked the same questions, they got the same response and the same reaction, and eventually he confessed to the murder. Okay, so it worked out exactly as Nephi said, and so because it did work out exactly that way, even I assume with the man saying that Nephi had nothing to do with it. So as you can see in 38, it says insomuch that the 5, the original 5 to arrest her, they were now cleared, as was Nephi. So all the ones that they originally thought were involved, they were all cleared now because the real murderer has confessed.
And there were some of the Nephites who believed on the words of Nephi, and there were some also who believed because of the testimony of the 5, for they had been converted while they were in prison. And now there were some among the people who said that Nephi was a prophet, and there were others who said, Behold, he is a god, for except he was a god, he could not know of all things. For behold, he has told us the thoughts of our hearts, and also has told us things, and even he has brought unto our knowledge the true murderer of our chief judge.
So you see the results of this whole episode now. Right? And in 39 it says there were some of the Nephites who believed on the words of Nephi now, right? Because now they were listening or thinking to what he had said and said, okay, well, I guess we need to take that seriously now, all right? If he was right about all these details about his murder, we should now play back in our minds what he said to us before and really pay attention to that. And it says that the 5 who originally were sent to find the murdered chief judge, while they were in jail, it says they were converted, right? Because they witnessed, they saw this firsthand what was happening, and they knew they didn't do it. So they saw what happened, and so they were converted. So they had their own testimony. So between Nephi and the testimony of these other 5, now there were many who were convinced of really the truth of what Nephi had been saying. Now in 40 it says that it says many recognize Nephi as a prophet. In 41 it says they wanted to go even further. So he's more than a prophet. He's like a god, right? He knew everything that was going to happen and told us that. Now again, that's going a bit overboard, but the point was they were certainly impressed and convinced that Nephi was able to predict it to that level of detail. Even the whole question and answer with the murderer as to what to say and what he would do. I'm sure that was very weird to go through that and to see it predicted and work out exactly as it was said. That's why it says, Holy told us of all of our heart, he told us things, and he even brought to knowledge the true murderer of the chief judge. So they were very impressed with the whole episode, which is what Nephi had intended. So now he has more of an opening to talk to people about Christ, because now he has more credibility. They're going to believe, will be more likely to believe the things that he would say.